Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm jumping the gun. It's the day before Thanksgiving. Where am I going? Welcome to Let's Play Every Day. I'm Tim McNiff. I'm worried about Greg getting all settled in, and I can't even handle my own business. I'm Tim McNiff. That's Greg Coleman II, Andy Greder, Jessi Pierce, all with us. This show brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Northern Lids Custom Hats. If you're on Twitter and you have not seen the little story that was done about Northern Lids, I encourage you to check it out. It's just a couple minutes long, tells the backstory to what Nick Gross is doing, how he got started, where he's going with this company. Totally worth your time. Great guy, great story. Check it out on Twitter at northernlids.com. Now, Jessi's a graphic designer, writer, podcaster, one half of the Bar Down Beauties podcast. G2, new dad, stand-up comedian, podcaster. His most recent album, Sex Receipts, a Party album, sure to become a Thanksgiving tradition for many families beginning tomorrow. And then, of course, we have Andy Greder on loan from the St. Paul Pioneer Press, where he covers Gopher hoops, Gopher football, United men's soccer, and he has not one, but two breaking news items for us this morning. So with no further ado, Mr. Greder, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, first thing this morning, I was able to report that the U.S. men's national team is going to come to Allianz Field for a World Cup qualifier on February 2nd, outside in February for the U.S. men's national team in a World Cup qualifier. So it's a great get for Allianz Field to be able to play World Cup qualifier. But yeah, obviously the number one question is, February? Are you kidding me? How is that possible? How are you going to be able to do that? And, there isn't a lot of contingency plans for them with that game. They might, if there's any sort of delays, they don't really have a window because the international window ends that day. And it's the third game in 3, and there's not a lot of wiggle room for it. So, yeah, I mean, it could be 35 and sunny and feel tropical on February 2nd, or it could be negative 15 and we have a blizzard on our hands. So kind of rolling the dice with that one. But for Honduras to come up here to have to play, that could be a huge advantage. And we saw that last week with Canada welcoming Mexico for a World Cup qualifier, and they had to play in the snow on that one.
Can I ask you, do you think that was perhaps inspiration? Do you think one maybe led to the other? Look, Canada just stunned Mexico in crappy weather in the freezing cold. We could do this to Honduras too.
Yeah, this has been in the works for a couple of months now. So that game was already kind of well down the line. I was able to report kind of a few months ago that they were looking to have a game in this window or in 2022. And I thought that there's a game in late March that would be more likely. Obviously, better weather, but they're pushing ahead with this February game. So I think what'll be interesting is what the weather's like for that one. But then the second breaking news item was Muhammad Ibrahim, the Gophers' star running back, is coming back for 2022 after rupturing his Achilles in the season opener against Ohio State. So he's going to have a long rehab process. He's already started to do that, but he was the Big Ten running back of the year in 2020. So for his return to be announced here this morning, it's a nice news for the Gophers.
Absolutely. It says a lot about the program and a lot about him. Wonderful to have him coming back. Okay, now on to the really pressing news, which is, of course, Thanksgiving. You knew Thanksgiving, right? Tomorrow. But we've had sort of a little Twitter thing going on. Not started by JP, but boy, she threw gas on the fire, as she's known to do every once in a while, when she trashed gravy in no uncertain terms. Mr. Greder, I'm a little bit concerned about you where the gravy issue is, so I want to start with G2. G2, where does gravy come down for you? Are you pro or con?
I'm going to need everybody to count to 4, and I will show you what I feel about gravy. All right? All right, okay. Let's go.
1.
No, you got to count out loud.
2.
I'm going to bring props.
3.
I'm pro gravy.
4.
It's too late. It's too late. I'm pro gravy. Like, who is anti-gravy? I saw this, and I was like, canceled.
I like to watch the world burn. Once in a while, I got to just stoke that fire,
All right. Yeah, I get it. You're a fire starter. That definitely started one. So close to Gravy's, this is Gravy's homecoming. you know,
Yeah.
and you just
Yeah.
want to I think you've had bad gravy.
No,
Maybe that's it.
I mean, I brought like facts of why I don't like gravy. I'm ready whenever you want me to dive into it. I can stand by my argument. It's a good argument. I will admit, I feel slightly un-American because the only reason I like or maybe kind of enjoy gravy is with Canada's delicacy known as poutine, where you got the gravy, the fries, the cheese curds. I can endure it then. However, I make bomb mashed potatoes. You don't need gravy with my mashed potatoes. They are delightful. My husband can attest to this. He reminded me of that yesterday. He's like, I'll give you that. Your mashed potatoes, they don't need the gravy. I make a good turkey, doesn't need the gravy. Also, I don't love my food touching. I'm that weirdo. I just don't love it. So you add gravy into that mix, it's all touching and it's my nightmare. So those are the three reasons. I stand by it. I can't do it, guys. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Andy.
Yeah, like G2 said, I mean, this is gravy's day to shine, right? I mean, dip some turkey in the gravy, have some stuffing with the mashed potatoes and the gravy. Like it can just be, a flowing, senses inducing love fest. I mean, it's the time for gravy. I mean, food touches in your stomach anyway. So this food touching thing is just, it's going to the same place anyway. And I mean, I want to try Jessi's mashed potatoes and turkey, right? Because that sounds amazing. So
they're fantastic.
If those facts are there, then maybe she has an argument. But turkey's kind of dry, and I feel like it's good for it. And mashed potatoes and stuffing are calling for gravy in my house.
I mean, and I will argue this. Add to the argument. We say tomorrow is their day, gravy's day to shine. So could you also argue it's obviously not that good if it gets just one day that people are enjoying it? Nobody's adding it on every other day, right?
Yeah. Hold on. Go, Greg.
All right, Mom. Listen, I think that's the problem. Gravy's gotten trapped in. It was a marketing thing. Got attached to Thanksgiving. But, you think about, smothered pork chops with gravy, smothered chicken with gravy. Anything. I could go on like Bubba talked about shrimp, talk about gravy. Even egg foo young. Listen, egg foo young is based in gravy. Listen, do you like egg foo young?
I don't even know if I know what that is, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna send some to you. I'm gonna DoorDash you some egg foo young. It's just basically a fried omelet.
Yeah, for me too.
With gravy poured on it over rice.
And on that same thing, yeah. So my wife also has mastered. Her mother was just from the farm and just this wonderful. She stood there. She would never even sit down. She waited on you. I mean, do you have enough? I mean, my mother never did that for me. This woman spoiled me, right? And my wife's got all of that: the turkey, the mashed potatoes. So we quite frequently have, not at my request, but my younger daughter's request on Sundays, is going to be some form of pork with gravy and mashed potatoes. And it's just wonderful. So this is not a once in a or twice in a year thing for me. And for me, the Thanksgiving is, okay, so you do this, but then tomorrow's going to be the turkey sandwich for lunch. And then dinner is going to be the classic open faced sandwich where you got the bread with the turkey on it. And then you got the mashed potatoes and the stuffing, you just gravy all over all of it. And it's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? This is just, it's a multi-day thing for me. Built around gravy.
Fair. Yeah. I'm sorry. I kind of in my head, I knew it was going to be a trigger, but man, I even was on a Canadian radio show yesterday and they brought it up and I was like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, they'd gotten wind of it from your social media.
Oh, it was right off the bat before we even talked any hockey stuff. I had to defend my gravy stance, but then I got in their good graces by letting them know I enjoy a good poutine. So that kind of saved me there with them.
Save the day.
Yes.
All right. We do have a full plate, as it were, where sports is concerned.
There he goes.
And I feel good about the fact I get to ask each of you a question about a team that you actually like and care about. So, JP, the Wild do close out a 3-game road trip tonight with the game at New Jersey. The captain, Jared Spurgeon, is out with what they're just calling a low body injury. Do you have any sort of insight? What are we looking at for time, and how does this impact this team going forward?
I mean, obviously it hurts, right? Jared Spurgeon's a captain for a reason. He's a top defenseman with Alex Goligoski there. So it's not great. Dean Evson did say yesterday after the team practiced in Florida that it looks week to week, but it's not as concerning as they had once thought. Of course, they're still keeping those cards tight, letting us know what it is. I still go back and I can't even find the point in the game where he got injured. He kind of just disappeared. I mean, he didn't take any big hit into the boards. There was no tripping over the stick or a puck, so I'm not entirely sure what it is, but obviously severe enough because week to week isn't ideal, but it does sound like it's better than they had initially expected. So hopefully he gets back in action sooner rather than later. The big question is then, do you play Jordy Ben, who only has 2 games under his belt and who has not been very good? I mean, just to put it very crassly, he's not been a solid defenseman at all, hence why he's been a healthy scratch. They did recall Callan Addison from Iowa, so that will be an option for them to slot in. I'm curious to see again in New Jersey what they decide to do there, because it could go either way, but I think Callan has a little bit more of pros to his game versus Jordy, unfortunately. But yeah, it's not great. I think the Wild will persevere as they tend to do without Spurs, because that's what happens in hockey. That's part of the game. But it'll definitely be a little bit of a back pedal for them.
For sure. The Minnesota Timberwolves also in action tonight, back at home, putting a 4-game win streak on the line against former teammate and chief tormentor Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. The Wolves have won 4 straight, and the rest did. The Heat, they played and won last night in Detroit, so they had to travel. Greg, it would appear that the table is set for the Wolves to claim another victim. What do you think? Does Buckets allow the Heat to fall victim to the T-Wolves?
Hey, I never stop believing. Remember last week when you asked if it was fashion or fandom, and I said 70-30? Well, today's the 30% where it's fandom. Right? The Wolves are finally playing like the Wolves that we hoped that they could play like. I feel like the Wolves that they felt like they could play like. Listen, everyone loves an arch enemy story, and Jimmy Butler has kind of became that our last big obstacle, versus the Timberwolves, besides, beating ourselves. I feel like Jimmy's going to give up their all. I feel like this is a really big test for the Timberwolves, because if they can get this win over a Heat team, which is still in the top 10 of the NBA power rankings, I feel like this is going to set them up pretty good, when we move back into conference play. But yeah, I feel like we can get it done. I really hope that we get it done, and maybe this puts a little bit of target on our back. Like no one's afraid of us, but I feel like they need to respect us a little bit more. And I like seeing the Wolves play with confidence, play hard defense. Love seeing Cat actually go to the rim, do a pump fake instead of shooting. Pump fake, 1 dribble, and then he's at the rim. Like just keep doing it. So yeah, I'm excited. I love Jimmy though. I love his intensity. He's one of my favorite players in the league, but yeah, you got to go down. You got to go down. It's a gravy baby win.
The remote's going to get a workout tonight because you've got the Wild, you've got the Wolves, and Andy Greder. I was really concerned about this Gopher basketball team getting any wins going into this season. I just didn't. They lost so much. They're unbeaten 4-0. They're playing host to Jacksonville. Now you go, oh, they should win that game. But then you think, hey, wait a minute. Didn't the Gopher women play Jacksonville about a month ago at the same place and they went down? Do you have those same concerns tonight?
I don't. I mean, obviously there's that kind of comparison, but I think that this Gopher basketball team has been a breath of fresh air in the fact of how they play team defense, how they share the ball, how they're selfless. I don't think this is the deepest team in the world. I think there's still concerns about how good they can be in Big Ten play, but they've shown themselves to be pretty resourceful with what they have. And Jameson Battle is the number 1 scorer, and Peyton Willis and E.J. Stevens and Sean Sutherland coming off the bench. I feel like there's some talent there. And I feel like probably the biggest thing that I've taken away from this team over the first month is just Ben Johnson's kind of attention to detail and willingness to share it. I feel like there's, kind of a thoughtfulness in the way that he goes about answering questions and sharing what's going on with his program and his philosophies and how he wants to instill in the guys the work that he wants to have done. I find myself kind of gravitating to his press conference that he's had, and I can see how players are responding to it as well.
And so far it has worked, that is for sure. Former Minnesota Twins are on baseball's Hall of Fame ballot for the first time this year. They are Justin Morneau, David Ortiz, Joe Nathan, and A.J. Pierzynski, all on the ballot, joining Torrey Hunter, who made his first appearance last year. JP, Are there any future Hall of Famers in that group, first ballot, or maybe in year 9 or 10?
I mean, I think Ortiz for sure, right? You cannot deny that. Absolutely broke the curse of the Bambino, 10-time All-Star, 541 career homers, 3 World Series rings. It's a no-brainer, without question. I would love to say Joe Nathan because he is the best closer that the Minnesota Twins have ever had. However, probably not one of the best in the league, right? I mean, you can make the argument too for him that he could possibly, but relief pitchers just don't get as much play either. So I think that's going to go against him. Borno, probably not either, as much as we love him. Mauer, not eligible, right? I don't think yet, but he's definitely on the list. I think he'll be a Hall of Famer without question. And I don't like AJ. I've never liked AJ. That aside, I mean, right? We're all supposed to hate AJ Pierzynski. That's the thing. That's the bit for as long as I've been here on this earth. 2-time All-Star, 1 World Series. I don't think he gets it either. But Ortiz, yes, circle it, count it, it's in.
So
AJ Pierzynski never wanted to leave. Right, AJ Pierzynski got a bad rap. He's one of those guys you like to have, but on your team, but hate if he's on the other team. But AJ never wanted to leave. I think that there was kind of a association that he didn't want to be here.
That's true. That's probably fair. Which is again, that's what us Minnesotans love to do: hate anybody that we think doesn't want to be here. So
and who has success once they go someplace else.
Yes.
Exactly. Except for David Ortiz, except for Big Poppy. That's the only one where we're like, okay, like him and Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with, I was going to say this is only a half hour and we have other things I still want to get in and I want to come back to Thanksgiving, but Ortiz failed drug tests, right? I mean, this is a steroid era guy who's going to get voted in. And if you're going to do that, does it then open up the door for Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa, who are in their last year of eligibility? I'm going there. Anybody?
You went there.
I'm glad you did. Let them in. Let them in. Listen, we are gonna act like we all weren't cheering and yelling in the mid '90s when those dudes were just knocking bangers out. They're for the kids. First of all, kids don't know where to get steroids. Okay, so it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Let them in. You still got to have the hand-eye coordination. I think that every baseball player should be on steroids. Listen, I want 500-yard feet, home runs, all that stuff. Give it to them. Give it to them. Give them great health insurance and just be like, yeah, dude, just XFL it. Do whatever you want, right? The ratings haven't been as great since those dudes have been out the league. Put them in the hall.
I don't disagree, I suppose. I don't hate it, right? They changed baseball in general just for fandom, right? I mean, brought more attention to the game. People followed it. I being one, I'm not a huge baseball gal, but I mean, why not?
They're liars. They're cheaters. No.
Dude, Barry Bond, or not Barry Bond, what was his old name? Old Babe Ruth. They used to do speed back in the day, in the MLB.
I thought he only ate hot dogs.
Yeah, I don't know if Bambino was on Greenies. I know the Pete Rose era that group was, but
how much gravy did
Aaron was?
How much gravy do you think Babe Ruth had in his day?
Babe Ruth had a vat full of gravy. He would just unscrew it and just drink it into 7.
He had like an IV of gravy.
Okay, Mark Craig of the Star Tribune pointed out that Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins posted his 25th game with at least 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. That moved him ahead of Aaron Rodgers and into second place by a quarterback in his first 10 seasons. Cousins now has 7 games in which to catch Hall of Famer Dan Marino, who had 26. Greg, are we talking about our Kirk Cousins? And if so, have you bought in?
Listen, you know what? I got to say, I'm not going to get a jersey, but, I'm not going to get a jersey. But, yeah, man, Captain Kirk, man, he gets it done. He gets it done. To me, he's the anti-hero. He makes you, gosh. Yeah, man, I'm on Team Kirk. I mean, he's proved himself, especially when the line can keep him up and keep people off of his back. Throw a couple bonehead plays in there every once in a while. But, yeah, man, he's getting it done. He's proven that he can win. Especially the last 2-3 years. I feel like most of the wins kind of fall on the back of the coach and some of the calls that they've had. When you allow Kirk to ball, he's a baller. He's a gamer. So yeah, team Kirk.
It's amazing how this guy's turned it around. I thought a month or two ago, well, he's gone at the end of this year. And now I'm like, what would they do without him? And teams would line up for him. It's sort of like James Franklin getting a 10-year deal at Penn State when his team is 4-4. You know what I mean? It's like, really, it's a good time to be a college football coach. Andy, last sports question. Well, kind of. This is our last opportunity to speak to you and get your take on the Gopher Badger game for Paul Bunyan's axe and possibly a Big Ten West championship. How do you feel this one's going to play out?
Man, it's hard not to say it's going to play out like the last couple have, right? Obviously, in 2019, there was a lot on the line in that game with the Big Ten West there as well, and the Gophers at 10-1 or something like that, and the Badgers won pretty convincingly. I don't know if it's going to be a convincing win, but this Badgers defense has been lights out all year. The Gophers passing game has only come alive against poor teams like Indiana. It's hard to see them being able to throw the ball enough to be able to get a win. Braylon Allen, their 17-year-old running back, looks like a 30-year-old Derrick Henry. He's a beast. The Gophers defense has been good, but he might be able to pop some runs. So, I think the spread at 7 for the Badgers is probably pretty fair. But if they get some turnovers and we see some wrinkles in the passing game like we started to see against the Hoosiers, maybe there's a chance, but I wouldn't bet on it.
I wanted to hear something different, but I can't argue with anything you just said.
Just lie, Andy. Just be like, yep, nope, it's in. There you go.
Just build me up.
Here's
Let
the
me
chance.
All right, you guys, tomorrow is obviously Thanksgiving. What I wanted to get you guys for, and I gave you some time to think about this, is if you're comfortable with this, is just to share something. Can be serious, can be not. I don't care. But just something from the Minnesota sports scene that you are thankful for. JP.
I had 2 because I like to go serious, but I also like to add a little humor. So to start, my humorous one is I am thankful, wait for it, that no Minnesota teams have ever won a championship. Here's why, or no men's teams, right? Here's why. Because I kind of like how we all get to joke about it, how we all get to talk about the sadness, right? It's kind of fun. It's kitschy. It's our thing. So we can own that. That's why I appreciate that. Plus, maybe I get to see one in my lifetime. Who knows? We'll see. So that's kind of my jokey one. In all seriousness, no, I love the Minnesota sports community. And that includes, Andy and Tim and Greg and everybody that's on LPSN and everybody that I've met in the media hallways, in the scrums, waiting for things. I mean, there's truly nothing like it. We just reached 100 episodes of Bar Down Beauties, and so much of that is because of the people that we've networked with and that we know. So it's truly absolutely astounding. We've had so much support. I've felt so much support, so much kindness, so much just love and in general. So I'm really, really grateful for that.
G2.
Oh, that was nice. I wasn't going to get emotional.
See? Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, like you said, I've grown up around the Minnesota pro sports basically my whole life. And once you kind of get close to the organizations and just see the people behind, the field and who make everything run, they're really good people who work as hard as they can to put out the best product that they can. Maybe not the owners, but all the people that we don't know. So yeah, I'm grateful for Minnesota sports. I will say I'm grateful for the Lynx, man, and being able to get championships, because I feel like at least that crowd is the most underrepresented crowd of all of the major sports that we have. But they do have the most to celebrate, and I feel like that's pretty awesome. And I feel like a lot of the teams have taken pages out of the Minnesota Lynx books when it just comes to how to put on a game performance, not just on the field, but how to have the production and fan interaction. I feel like they've been light years ahead. So I'm really happy that we have a legendary organization in the Lynx, and I'm happy for Ant-Man and JJ. It's like KG and Randy Moss part 2 all over again, but hopefully they will win championships here.
Nice. Andy.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the Minnesota sports teams that are relevant, right? I think the fact that we get hung up on championship so much around here that we have teams that are competitive, that go to the playoffs, that have games like the Axe that have meaning to them. There's promise in the Wolves and some actual results in the Wild, and I think it's interesting to kind of see the fact that there is that relevance and there is that intrigue and the promise and the hopes get up, and I think that's always fun to kind of ride the roller coaster, even if it doesn't reach the payday, because we're all doing this on a daily basis. So the journey is really what is the key thing with all of it. And I'm thankful for Tim and everyone that's on this show. I think this is a great forum, a great opportunity to do something new and different for me. So I appreciate that opportunity. So shout out to Tim, and I hope he has all the turkey and Thanksgiving and gravy that he needs.
I appreciate that. Well, for me, I am thankful to be back in the sandbox again. I mean, I grew up in White Bear Lake, and all I wanted to do was to play running back for the Minnesota Vikings. When I went to the Tommy Kramer Ahmad Rashad football camp at 17, where I was my age group MVP, and saw Scott Studwell toss the ball underhanded to Tommy Kramer and say, TK. He just tossed him, and then he started to run, and he ran. And he ran, and he ran, and Kramer uncorks this ball. And Studwell not only catches the ball, he catches it behind his back without breaking stride, 50-plus yards downfield. He was a defensive lineman at the time, and I stood there and I went, dude, you do not have that. You're never going to do that. So what's plan B going to be? And so I wanted to get into sports, and I got into sports and had a lot of fun. And I could tell stories right now why I would not put AJ Pierzynski into the Hall of Fame, because I covered the guy. Great baseball player, subpar human being. So
the dirt.
There it is. Yeah. But to be back and doing this again and wanting to do something where we did something that was different than was out there. I mean, we have a market that just doesn't have a lot of opportunities for people. And I wanted people that don't look like me and don't sound like me to talk and say things. And so that's what we want to do. We want to grow this. And where I'm really thankful is when I see each of you guys pop up every morning, where I'm just like, 'cause I always feel like I'm gonna have a party and nobody's gonna come to my party. And when you guys show up, I'm like, oh, they're coming to the party. They like me. So I'm thankful for all of you. It's great. I appreciate it. We weren't going to have a show tomorrow. And Tyler Forness was like, if you're not doing anything, I would like to do a show. And so I said, well, I'll ask. And so we've got a show, and JP's jumping on, and Daryl Thompson's jumping on, and you guys, no obligation, but if you're really bored tomorrow, we'll take as many people or whatever we want. It's going to be a very loose format. There may be Bloody Marys involved on my end.
That's what I'm saying. Do I have to be sober, Tim?
Yeah.
No.
we should do a pre-dinner show and a post-dinner show.
Yes.
With gravy coma.
Could be very interesting. Yes. Good later in the afternoon. But yeah, we're just going to do that. So we're going to roll on. Thank you. And I want to thank Nick Gross and Northern Lids for your support. And just before I even had a show to say, I'll sponsor it. And I'm just like, what? I don't have a show yet. That's okay. I'll do it anyway. So thank you for that kind of support and that kind of faith. That's a big deal. So thank you, guys. I want you to all have a wonderful day tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. If I won't see you, JP, I still feel a little guilty about dragging you away from your husband and your kids. So make sure this works for you. But
this is my break. I get to be JP in this moment. Like the kids can go off and do something else. Like we're here.
And Tim, can I maybe I'll just start it on Twitter, but I want to suggest to everybody out there, hashtag JP Gravy Plate, where we're just going to tag pictures of gravy.
Don't do it. You know, I will show you my beautiful clean plate without the gravy, and you'll be like, wow, that's just.
If you take a big dip of gravy, a big dip of gravy in your mashed potatoes, I got tickets for you at Acme.
Well, I mean, now I'm going to do it because heck, that's worth it.
I mean, it's like dates
video.
They're going to be Tuesday and Wednesday every other month. But you're going to be in there. 3-drink minimum.
Oh, perfect. I love it.
You guys are the best. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining in. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Be well. We'll talk to you soon. And again, when you get that chance, get off the sidelines, get in the game, and let's play every day.